In my last video tutorial, I made this pocket envelope card in which it has all of these pockets to be able to put in little notes or money for the recipient. It's also decorated on the back side. There's no pockets on the very back of it. That's how the back is, the very front, and none on the very front, happy birthday, and to whom it will go to, but each one of these other pockets has a place to put something in. And because it is a little bit larger, thicker, bulkier, I designed a box for it to be held in. So I mentioned in the video tutorial that I might do a tutorial on how to make the box, and one of my subscribers, Lenora, did ask that I teach you how to do that. So we're going to do that right now. So the measurements for your cardstock, I'm going to start with a piece of 12 by 12, and you need a piece of 9 and 11/16 by 9 and 11/16. And I apologize for the 16ths measurements, but as I calculated it out, that's what you need, and I'm afraid to waste the paper and do something different. So I'm going to follow with what it says. So the 11/16 mark is one tick mark below the 9 3/4. So I'm going to go over here to my 9 3/4, and then one tick mark below that is where I will cut my paper. Then to give me my square, I'm going to rotate it. Again, go to 9 3/4. However, the 9 and 11/16 is one tick mark below that. So the 3/4 is right there. One tick mark below is there. Just want to make sure this is correct. And so that gives us our paper that we're going to use to make our box. Now here is my envelope punch board. I just got this, and I like that it has the extension area for larger envelopes and boxes. So what you're going to do is have to score and punch two different areas to make your box. Let me show you that. So your first one is going to be punched and scored at 2 9/16, and that is one tick mark above 2 1/2. So let's find our 2 1/2. One tick mark above is there. I'm going to line it up, punch, and score on our first line all the way down. Then our next punch and score is a little bit easier. That's 3 1/4. So move your cardstock over to 3 1/4 over here. Line it up, punch and score. Then we're going to do the same thing on the opposite side. also 2 9/16, which is 1 tick mark above 2 1/2. That's right there. Punch and score. And then 3 1/4. Punch and score. Now what we're going to do for these other two is we're going to line up our score lines so that the area that you punched and scored with lines up with this little indentation here. So there's our first one. Punch and score. Then the next indentation is right there. So we have 3 sides. So now we're going to go over to this side. And again, your first punch line will be lining up right here with this indentation here. And the second one will line up with that indentation. I'm going to pull it up just a tiny bit. There you go. And then I'm going to round off each of these corners here. And then you're going to fold in and burnish each of these score lines. Sometimes I forget to use my bone folder and I just use my fingers. You see how that is forming our box. Let's bring in our card and see if it fits. Oh yes, it's gonna fit. Yay! Nice, good. Alrighty. So what you need to do, maybe I will use my bone folder to really give me good creases here. Now with any box, what you need to do is create a tab. And so you've got these little squares on both sides. What we're going to do is just snip up on each side to the next score mark. So do you see how that goes? Got that nice little tab there. And what I'm going to do is just clean that off a little bit with a little bit of a wedge. And on the other side also. And so then what you will do is bring this in to an angle, and that will create your box. But what we have to do is be mindful that this top layer is too long. So we need to trim that down. So what I'm going to do is just kind of eyeball it. And I'm going to bring in a ruler. Because if it's a little bit shorter than what you need, it's no big deal. So I'm just going to lay that there and just make a little pencil mark so I know what I have to trim off around. So let's bring the paper trimmer in, trim that off and see if that's enough. So what we're going to do is just lay our box in the paper trimmer here. And what I want to do is to make sure I get a straight line, I'm going to take my score line here and line it up so it's equal on both sides. Bring it down a little bit. So it's equal here and equal here. So that will give me a straight line. Let's just cut that. Looks like I need it to be a little bit further. So now I'm going to bring this up so that line lines up exactly there. Let's cut again. There, that gave it to us. So as I bring my box up, you see it fits perfectly there and doesn't catch. And we will also need to do it here, but we can wait on doing that. Let's assemble our box. Now what I'm going to do is just do liquid glue first. I would really recommend using like a tear and tape or something like that so that it is stronger. But for right now, I'm just going to do a liquid glue that dries quickly. So what you're going to do is put a little bit of glue here on this tab. Bring in your side so that your corners meet up and hold it in place. It is a little bit fiddly, but just take your time. There we go. We've got a couple of edges. And then you're going to do the same thing here. A little bit of liquid glue on the outside. Bring it in so that it creates a right angle. And hold it in place. You can always go in with your bone folder and press down so that they adhere nicely. This one doesn't want to do that. Let me just hold it a little bit longer. There. I think what I'm going to do for these is do tear and tape so that it is stronger. So I'm just going to bring in some thin tear and tape. I'm going to lay some down here at this corner all the way up and this corner all the way up so that your bottom of your box fits like that. And then a piece over here on this side. Kind of a funny angle to have this at. There we go. Okay, you see we have tear and tape on both edges. And look, I've just torn that there. So it looks like I need to put some tear and tape there. snip off a little piece. This 12 by 12 paper is not the thickest. We're just going to fix that. There we go. Now I've got these little stickies all over me. Okay, let's try to attach that. Release paper on the other side. There we go. And we're going to bring it in so that we have a nice right angle. There we go. Perfect. Alrighty, now we got it here, girls. Girls and boys. So we're going to bring up our release paper on this side and bring our envelope in to complete that little right angle square there. And we're going to do the same thing on this other side. So just go in there with your picky tool, pull off your release paper, bring it in nicely, and attach it. Oops. Need to press down harder. There we go. Okay. That was a little trying. We'll be able to stick some glue in there if we need to. So on these little tabs here, I'm just going to remove them. So I'm just going to come in here and just remove that tab completely on both sides because we don't need it. Cutting away that score line. There we go. Now, do you see how this hangs over too far? We can just bring in our paper trimmer and cut that away so that it folds over. So again, I'm going to just lay that there. It's okay if it's a little bit longer. Just fold it over so you have a nice straight edge. Lay your ruler down. Take your pencil and just do a light pencil mark so you know where to cut. Then just lay it in your paper trimmer. If it's a little bit shorter, because I'm going to bring it up a little bit, so I cut away that. And I'm actually going to butt the box up here to my score line so it's straight. Lay it in my paper trimmer. And because I don't want to erase that line, I'm just going to bring it up a little bit shorter. It won't hurt anything. See how I cut that away nicely? And there we have our box. Perfect. So what I do recommend is, like I did with this box, it's still a little bit flimsy because the 12 by 12 paper that I have is not that sturdy. Is decorated a lot with mats and layers so that it gives it a little bit more stability. But like you said, if I just slip it in there, it fits perfectly. And there's your box. What you'll need to do too is just put a little piece of tear and tape here, or you could also put a Velcro closure so that it holds it tight And there you've got your box. So thank you for joining me. I hope this helps. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section and I will be happy to answer those questions. Thanks and goodbye.